There could have been greater plans as far as getting rid of her, and it's scary, sadistic stuff. I mean, it comes very close to the camera. You can see the person, and you can see what they're wearing something pretty distinctive. And there's photos 12 hours earlier, a person at the house wearing the same thing.
Private investigator Steve Fisher has obtained video from the last time David's Tesla was moved on the 29th of July before he left on tour, presumably it being moved with Celeste's body inside of it. And Steve Fisher said that he was able to identify the driver. We have also discovered a secret second rental property that David was hiding Celeste in, and presumably where he killed her. We may actually be getting an arrest soon. Not only that, but you also discovered that they had plans to hide her body or get rid of it in sadistic ways. This is absolutely insane. Let's just get right into it.
But I will say this, there are some things that, and I'm talking physical evidence that was at that house that is, there could have been greater plans as far as getting rid of her, and it's scary, sadistic stuff. And that's why we're trying to learn more about that. I wish I could say more, but for obvious reasons I can't. But it doesn't have to do with how she died, but maybe how they were planning on ultimately getting rid of her, and how maybe that Tesla was just a holding spot at the time, and things just, their timing was just off as far as getting this done. But there's a few things that we're just like, will blow your mind. There are some other items that were found at the house that weren't taken during the search warrant. And, search warrants are limited, right? They can't just go take everything. It's what the judge, and we don't know how broad that search warrant was because we haven't seen it. And that's what we'd like to see. But there were some things that were not taken into custody of LAPD that we think are significant, and including digital media and some other things that really help nail down timeline and things like that.
So, if you didn't know already, the homeowner of David's Hollywood rental home hired this PI, David Fisher. Now, the reason he hired him is because he, of course, owns this very luxury, very expensive property in the hills. And the person that was living inside of it was found with a dead girl inside of his trunk. So to, I guess, protect the house, potentially protect the value of the house, he wants to know what happened, did anything happen inside of the house, so he can let the next buyer or renter know. And it's clear this guy has been doing some crazy FBI work. So as I just played you guys the clip, he said that apparently he has proof that they had sadistic ways of trying to hide it or trying to get rid of her. My guess is because earlier in that clip, he said that apparently the homeowner returned to the house and there was stuff that the police didn't take, which confused them because they should have taken that stuff as it would have helped them in the case. So I'm presuming once David moved out, they maybe found like weapons or like blades or maybe like stuff to dissolve the body, like those special scientific ingredients that you see in like Breaking Bad. And the police didn't take those, which is why the homeowner or the PI were able to make this comment and say they have proof that apparently they had sadistic plans of how they were going to get rid of her. Because that PI said in that video that apparently it seemed very rushed. And it makes sense. Why would you leave a girl you were dating or grooming in the trunk of a car that's registered to you? That body probably wasn't supposed to stay there. They probably had plans to dispose of it, get rid of it, but the tour came about and they never got around to it.
I've seen the car driven to that spot, and with the dates, with the date that it was, they left town right after that. I'm certain that is the last time the car was driven. It was put there with her, in the front trunk.
And there's one weird detail about what you could, well, there's a lot of weird details, and I'm going to get to what you saw through the driver's side window in a second, but there was an air freshener that was found in the car at this point that we see on our screen, where it was abandoned. Was that air freshener also hanging from the rear view mirror when it drove off from David's house?
It wasn't, but the window was half to 3/4 of the way down, which is odd because it was a very short drive. And also at that, on that day, this is the very end of July 29th, it was like 78 degrees at that time in the morning, or 77 degrees. And if it was on the street where the house is, so it's shaded by the house. So, if you're going, I don't know why the window would be rolled down unless there's something, offensive there. And then all of a sudden, one of the first things that I picked up on when the news first broke about her being found in there, where they were towing the car away from the impound lot to LAPD, was why on a $104,000 car is there a Christmas tree air freshener hanging from the from the mirror? It seemed kind of odd to me, but I guess maybe they thought that would help, mask it for when they had to move the car again.
But talk to me about the date of this video, July 29th, and talk to me about what you saw. What did you see in terms of the identity of the person driving through that open window?
So it's very clearly that Tesla, one, because the Tesla has that tape on the rear spoiler for whatever reason. I don't know why it's there. And also, it was just like it is in that picture. It was that dirty, except you could tell that they had run the windshield wiper like once to clear the dirt away so they could see. And it comes very close to the camera, although there is some motion blur, but you can see the person and you can see what they're wearing, something pretty distinctive. And there's photos that I have from 12 hours earlier, a person at the house wearing the same thing. From the time the Tesla was left there, he literally immediately started the tour. There was a tour bus that was leased, and I'll tell you that Tesla was moved and literally a bus departed for tour.
So the next thing the PI spoke about was how he was going around home to home in Beverly Hills or in Hollywood Hills, wherever David lives, and he managed to find CCTV and identify the driver of David's Tesla. So the car was last moved on the 29th of July in 2025, which apparently they set off on tour on that day. You guys will hear it in the clip, I'll add it in. Literally the car was moved and then they set off on tour, the coach was there, they went. Now, we have very good theories on who this was, but I'll get into that later in the video because I want to put the facts first, then we can yap about theories and stuff like that later on. So Steve Fisher said that apparently the driver was driving around with the windows down and that he didn't have an air refreshener in it, which is weird because when the car was impounded, it did have a car air freshener in it. So did the driver roll the window down because maybe it stank? Steve Fisher said that on that day it was 78 degrees Fahrenheit, which to me, I'm a European, that's 26 degrees. Now that's pretty hot, I would say. Like, it's not hot, but it's pretty warm. It's a pretty sunny day. So maybe that's why I had the windows down, I think that's a valid excuse. But some people are saying he had the windows down because it stank so bad, because Celeste's body was in the car. But yeah, I just think it's so crazy that apparently now we've got the driver, the last person to move the car. This PI is probably going to turn this evidence over to the police. And again, I think an arrest could be coming soon. Now I say that, but the police still have to build a case and put together a lot of evidence, so it could take longer. However, this could be the big piece that we're missing.
That's another thing that could be key in this, is that there's only one key to that house, and who had that and who had access to it and who was in it, because we also have evidence that while David was on tour at the time between the Tesla being found and the search warrant being served, David was on tour, but somebody was in that house. And there was actually a report made, not with police, but that homeowner association has a robust private security company, and we've gotten videos from them and reports. And so who had that key is probably the same person that, had access to the Tesla.
So he also said there was only one key to the house, which I think is quite interesting because it means, there isn't multiple people getting in and out because there's only one key. Now that's what the homeowner said. Maybe David cloned the key, or he had another one made. He also said that someone was living at the house whilst David was on tour and had access to David's Tesla. Now this is where it gets weird because it seems like a lot of people were in on it. Maybe not a lot of people, but David definitely had an accomplice.
When it was moved to that position, it was already like that. So that car had not been used in a very long time. It was super dirty, caked on dirt. I'll tell you, this was in late July. So it's bizarre because we also got media that the car was used a lot. David even spoke about it in Instagram videos. He took it to a detail shop and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, the very beginning of the year, that car, something happens, and the car's doesn't show up anymore. It's not used. It seems to disappear. And then that red Tesla learned, which we didn't know until the search warrant was served, that there's a red Tesla in the garage, which I can tell you was leased on February 1st. I'll say the last photo that we have of Celeste is January 2nd, 2025.
Okay, now that's significant because we were wondering when you know, she was last seen alive, there was
Right.
that surveillance footage of her seemingly running away from her neighborhood.
And that was September of 24, I believe. So
Yeah.
we didn't have anything. We were like, where was this girl in 2025? But we do have a photo of her on July 2nd, early in the morning, July 2nd, 2025. I tend to believe it happened a while ago, a long time ago. And I think January, February, things changed. I mean, you can see it in the photos and everything. And I also think...
And this gets even weirder. David abandoned his black Tesla around January because he went and leased a new one, and the tags on his black Tesla were expired, or I think it was a registration. Steve Fisher even said things apparently changed in January/February, and the last photos we got of her was in January, of Celeste I mean. So if you're asking me, they're clearly suggesting she was killed around that time, in January or February. David abandoned his black Tesla, he leased a new one, the red one, and the last photos we got of Celeste was in January. Was she dead since then? I mean, that would be absolutely insane. There's no way this girl was dead for 8 months. If a body is, you know, hidden, dead for 8 months, surely by the time September rolls around, that body's like gone completely, like just bones. There's no way a body can stay with flesh for 8 months. But it is weird how David abandoned his $100,000 Tesla and leased a new one. And the fact that the last pictures we got of David and Celeste was in January. This case is literally hurting my head so much. It's such a shame that this PI cannot reveal who the driver is, but I guess it's kind of good because it means it won't create like this media circus and the police can just do their investigation and get on with it instead of trying to do press conferences and stuff like that. So when people also think he had another house, the private investigator also mentioned it a little bit in those YouTube clips, however didn't fully delve into it. So let me read you guys this tweet. The private investigator in David's case thinks that Celeste Rivas died in early 2025, January/February, at another home David was renting that is 1 mile down the same street she was found. He also alludes that David's friend Neo may have been the one to move the Tesla. Now here a Redditor posted some sort of proof that David was renting 2 different properties. Proof David rented his first place in Hollywood while still renting a second, Celeste's secret hideout. Following on from what the other post regarding his first rented property, why wasn't it searched? Was this where he kept Celeste whenever he went out of state touring? Did the incident actually happen at this address? It's effectively the same street 1 mile down from where she was eventually found. And this is a bathroom of that second property. You can see they have the painting, and this is the painting here on the photos. You can see David at the place on Celeste's TikTok. Nice, this is indeed the same location. This proves she was at his residence at that time. And there's another picture of the property. So they had the kitchen live stream here. This was like 3 AM I remember. And then this is the kitchen of that second secret rented property. More, the bedroom, and oh my god, they have the paintings above the bedroom. And this is like the stock photos they used to list the home. And you can see them, Celeste and David, in the bed behind in front of those same paintings. And you can see it's only a couple minutes down from where David lived in his Hollywood Hills mansion, a 4-minute drive, 4-minute drive. The rental properties are only 4 minutes apart. Bluebird Avenue, where the car was last parked in late July, is only 3 minutes from the Doheny house. And you can actually see the property listing here. So this is the kitchen the live stream was in. This is the bathroom. And it's got that same painting that they were literally pictured in front of. Wow, this is insane. So they literally had a second secret property that David was probably hiding Celeste in. So actually there's a full TikTok here showing us. So obviously this is the bathroom. David in front of the painting in the bathroom. Now some people are just saying this was probably an Airbnb. But again, he maybe needed somewhere to hide Celeste. So he rented out this Airbnb or rented out this apartment or house to hide her there. Because again, there's no way this little 13-year-old girl was living with him whilst he had his manager and entourage round in the house. I mean, I hope that LAPD investigated this place, because if they didn't, they're missing out on a lot of evidence. And David probably hid evidence there. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is the house that she died in. All is starting to make sense now. He's of course not going to kill her in his multi-million LA Beverly Hills mansion. He's going to kill her in the little Airbnb they were renting where he was hiding her just down the road. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments, because look, David is famous. He probably had a big entourage, had a lot of friends living in that house. They did say it was a party house. That's why I don't really want to throw names around, because you know, these may be innocent people who had no idea. However, David had a lot of close friends who were his assistants, or like they weren't even his assistants. They had no jobs, they were doing nothing, and they were basically just David's groupies. And you know, if you're basically living off off David, if he asked you to move your car, you would probably do that. So yeah, just keep that in mind, guys. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. It's kind of breaking news, but also not breaking because we weren't actually told who it is, which, you know, doesn't really help us at all. But I think it's really important that this private investigator has done a really good job and identified the driver, supposedly, of this Tesla, which should help the police crack the case. So stay safe, everyone. Hope you guys enjoyed.